Almost like EA splitting up. Possible, right, Mike?
Oh, what a segue. You crushed it right there. So this next article is about EA Games, EA Entertainment, and EA Sports. So it's coming from Matt Wales. He is out in Eurogamer.net. And the title of his article is EA Games becomes EA Entertainment, splits from EA Sports and restructuring. And the move is intended to empower our studio leaders with more creative ownership. So, pretty much what's going on is that EA has announced a major internal shakeup that will see it split into two separate organizations, EA Sports and EA Games, the latter now renamed to EA Entertainment. Writing on EA's website, CEO Andrew Wilson said the restructuring would empower our studio leaders with more creative ownership and financial accountability to make faster and more insightful decisions around development and go to market strategies. These steps will accelerate our business, drive growth, and deliver long term value for our people, our players, and our communities. Already, I'm thinking, dang, is EA so big they got to break up the band? You know what I mean? And have like two solo projects going on, or like it's kind of crazy.
Dude, nobody cooks in the kitchen over there. That's all I'm saying.
Divide and conquer. That's what this feels like. All right, so Laura Mealy, Miley.
Yeah. Or a meal.
Kind of,
I go meal, but that's I don't know.
we'll go with Meal. It's probably better. Laura Meal has been appointed president of EA Entertainment, Technology, and Central Development, and its games leadership team will be structured much as before. Vince Zampella will continue to oversee Apex Legends, Star Wars games, and the Battlefield franchise, while Samantha Ryan remains responsible for lifestyle franchises and blockbuster single player experiences. Jeff Karp continues to lead EA Entertainment's mobile teams, and over on the newly separated EA Sports side of things, Cam Weber is president of the organization. His responsibilities include genre leading EA Sports experiences and our entire racing portfolio. David Tinson has been appointed to the lead of the EA Experience team, and former Chief Officer Chris Bruzo is retiring. The CFO, Chris Chris Suh, I think that's what it is. Chris Suh is also departing, with Stuart Canfield to fill his role. Wilson, who remains CEO of EA, says the leadership team will be working with their respective studios over the coming months to implement the company's newly announced organizational changes. Jeez, and like, we got one more paragraph, might as well finish it off. Today's news is the latest in a series of restructuring steps for EA that saw it lay off around 6% of its workforce in March. A further round of job losses were reported in June, and it's said to impact up to 2/3 of employees at Need for Speed No Limit Studios Fire Monkeys. So
studio name.
Yeah, it seems to be EA is basically restructuring their entire company and the way they do things. And this could be a good and a bad thing, I would guess. Is like maybe if you have enough of the cooks only concentrating on one single job in the kitchen, then they can be experts at that single job. I like it how they basically have it broken off between, like, you got one guy working on Apex Legends, Star Wars, and the Battlefield franchise. Those all kind of like stick together, you know? Because like Star Wars, Battlefront, stuff like that could kind of go with Battlefield. Apex Legends, also a shooter that's pretty intense. Then you got like another person entirely responsible to the blockbuster single player games. So Jedi Survivor comes right to mind right off that. And it's not Star Wars Outlaws that's done by EA, is it? I don't
That's a
think so.
Ubisoft title.
That is correct. So it's kind of interesting. I believe EA for the longest time had the IP for Star Wars, and they didn't renew their contract, which means other companies can take their shot at the IP. So Ubisoft going forward with it is pretty sick.
Boy, is Ubisoft taking this shot, Mike.
That's
Need I
fact.
remind the audience how many studios that presenter spouted out whenever they were talking about Star Wars?
Dude,
Outlaws?
it was something like 10 different studios.
Yeah, it was.
Now
pretty
you want to talk
much
about
like,
too many cooks in the kitchen,
dude,
bro.
It was every Ubisoft studio on the planet pretty much working on that thing.
It really
in
was
some aspect.
Yep.
Look,
it looked good though. The gameplay looked nice. I gotta
sure
admit.
did. I mean, look, I'm probably gonna play it. TBH, you know.
Oh,
Not gonna lie.
it's Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah. Gotta check it out. I mean, this thing, you're not a Jedi, so it's like I gotta see how they like do that. 'Cause it's like you're just a bounty hunter.
Oh yeah.
But I see EA's restructuring, right? But Mike, will they ever restructure in the eyes of God and game development morality? All right, after Battlefront, dude. After Battlefront, bro. We've seen
Which Battlefront?
Battlefront 2 is like the real culprit, but and then again, I probably shouldn't harp on a game that's what 4 or 5 years old at this point, but
No, we should definitely harp on the game. Are you kidding me?
okay, all right.
I mean, if you want to talk about loot boxes, let's talk about loot boxes, man. You want to talk about unfinished products that launch that turn out to be trash, and then a studio blames the consumers for not enjoying the trash? I mean, that's EA Games, bro. Sorry, EA Entertainment. Like, it's not going to stop that. I think this is like, it's not a rebrand because they still have EA, Electronic Arts, right?
Right.
I think hopefully this is one of those like, let's fix everything that we've been doing wrong, take accountability for basically being the most despised company in all of gaming outside of, I think 343 might be taking the cake, but it's like 343 didn't take as many games as EA has.
See, I will
You know
say
what I
though,
mean?
343 is not a publisher as well as a developer, right? So I mean, that's where EA takes
That's
the cake,
true.
but
That's true.
'cause
Yeah.
it's like they have more games that they don't even develop. It's just they grace them with their publisher touch that just like touches them
Yeah.
into the ground 6 feet under.
It's
Same.
It's true. Like the proven track record of EA is basically, oh, this studio had a really good indie game. Oh, they're actually big enough to be their own studio. You know, let's go in there and like take over the IP and say we're going to basically give them unlimited funds. They do that, shut down the studio, and then move them over to work on like a Fortnite competitor or something, or like a Destiny 2 competitor, and then they absolutely bombs, and then everybody gets laid off.
Yeah.
That's basically the EA model. I don't know, man.
This is like Battlefield's a good example. You had Battlefield 2042, right? Like started off terribly. And look, this
Yeah.
I firmly believe, I'll even make a statement. I don't think it's DICE's fault that game flopped. I think it had a lot to do with upper management and EA's part
so
of trying
too.
to push it out quickly.
Yeah, you can't deny
you
that
know.
DICE has a proven track record of great developers.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing like Battlefield when it first started out, fantastic.
It's good now.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the one
well,
thing
that's-
people
it
didn't know.
recovered.
Like,
And it's probably because they
Yeah.
just gave DICE room. They're like, all right.
yeah, yeah, it's just like, okay, you met your like deadline. We're gonna leave now. And then Battlefield 2042 is virtually a complete game and is done right now.
Yeah.
But the problem is what we started talking about at the beginning of the game, and I even made a tweet about it, is BattleBits is like well beloved right now and has like crazy numbers. It actually has more people playing than all of the Battlefield games combined.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show it's just like if you get the mechanics right and you get the playability right, like less bugs, less glitches and crashes, people don't care what the game looks like. Like look at Minecraft or Roblox. Those are the two most popular games on the planet. They look like trash, man. They do. They look like trash. But it's an amazing game, right? Am I crazy?
Dude, you're
Am I
not
crazy?
crazy, bro. I agree with you. That's why I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's true, dude. I 100%
Bro,
agree.
I'm going to bring up a perfect game, and it's going to piss off a lot of people if they've ever played it, and especially if they drank the Kool-Aid. And I told you about it in the DMs. Starfield. That game looks phenomenal. It's been in development
good.
hell for over 10 years, $500 million in fundraising, not even out of alpha yet. Come on. Like, just make the game complete, bro.
Oh, man,
Work on the
dude.
graphics later.
Listen,
That's where
man,
I'm at.
check back on us in September and tell us if we're right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's hard to tell. These high ambitious AAA titles, you have to take them with a grain of salt, always going forward. And I don't know. I would hope one day, Mike, that we get to a point where we don't have this looming fear over us as gamers. But we'll see. Hopefully, it'll be within our lifetime. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah. I think it'll stop happening when we get rid of the pre-order sales. I think if people stop pre-ordering games before they're actually released, it'll prevent some of the developers from like releasing broken games.
Yeah.
Or like manipulative marketing and monetization tactics. Or I mean, worse thing that could happen is like the government steps in, whatever government it's in. If you're like in the EU or the the UK, they really cracked down on loot boxes and like
True.
gambling in video games. So
It's true.
that's another route that can go, but it's a mess, man. And I don't think any company in development has had as much like backlash as Electronic Arts has had.
It's very
So
true. And
we'll
do we
see if this rebrand works, the restructure. But
to a
sorry to
certain
interrupt you.
do not. I'm saying no, it's not. I'm just saying to a certain extent, it's deserved. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think so.